a book that has on my Kindle that has about the small letters and the large.
Oh.
So, okay. I couldn't remember if it was on my Kindle.
Okay.
Stands for Mashiach.
There you go. Mukudah Alam Mizbeach. That's pretty cool. Just got to figure out why. But the altar does represent something interesting when you think about it. It's a big segula to understand that the fire is always burning. The fire always has to be burning on the altar. And so since the fire has to be burning on the altar, it's like significant of our fire always has to be burning, even though it's like cold in here. Where's my coffee? Oh, shoot. Excuse me for a minute.
But you're saying that's what I'm reading right here. Seriously.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He knew without knowing. Without reading about it.
Yeah, but that doesn't really explain the small mem for Mashiach.
For Mashiach?
Yeah, how does that get into Mashiach?
Mashiach should be a big man.
Okay. Should be. There is. No, see, the real Mashiach, the real mem for Mashiach is way later. In a verse in Yeshayahu, that speaks about Marbe HaMisra. You know, usually there's something called a final mem.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The final mem is a closed mem. It's always at the end of the word. All finals are at the end. There's one place in the entire Bible where there's a mem, final mem, in the middle of a word.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, they don't share that with you.
Why is that?
Hey there.
He just said it now. That this at the end. At the end.
There we go.
It's for secret teaching of the Torah.
Okay. The mem in the middle of the word, that stands for Mashiach.
For real?
Okay? Yes. That's the Mashiach mem. Okay? Representing the ring. It's the one ring to rule them all.
But it's only one mem in the entire Torah?
In the entire Torah, final mem in the middle of a word in the entire Torah.
Wow.
Marbe HaMisra in Yeshaya, in Isaiah. I don't know which chapter and verse because I'm not expert on that. They don't teach us that in yeshiva, you know. But I do know from the Tikkun Zohar, it's a symbolism of the mem. Marbe HaMisra means he will increase in dominance. In other words, the Mashiach will dominate. And
but you said Torah, but Yeshayahu is not the Torah.
Tanakh. Tanakh is the Bible. Okay. With that, okay, we'll go to Purim now. Okay, so much to talk about, and here's from the Bilvavi. I just got to look at my notes for a second. You know what I really want to do, and I haven't shared this with anybody, and God willing, I will merit one day to post a actual Seder of Purim.
Really?
Would you believe it? You know, Tu B'Shvat has a Seder.
Right.
Pesach has a Seder. But Purim has no Seder, which I understand why. Which kind of, you have to go out of your mind. You have to go out of the dots. It shouldn't really have a Seder. But these days, I think that people should, because people are losing what the focus is of the day. You have a comment or question?
Yeah, talk about Seder. I think this is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. My friend with a family, they got together Saturday night and they made a Seder. Because it was convenient. Everybody was going to be in town, so they made a Seder.
Are you talking about a Pesach Seder on a Saturday?
No, they're in California.
Okay, thank you.
Then I'd love to know what you think of it.
No, we do it.
Is it appropriate?
No, it
What are you talking about? You didn't fulfill your obligations.
So why do it? So it's
Because the people are far away from Torah and they don't understand.
Well, that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Let's explain.
It's ridiculous.
Let's explain, okay? Let's explain. Just one second. Okay? I really want to find this one thing for you. Just one second, please. Give me a minute.
I know someone that did
Where is it?
Someone did it on Friday night because it's more convenient because no one is there and they're not working and that's what's smoking. Those are, I don't consider them, then they're far away from Yiddishkeit.
Oh, gosh. 1 second. You just got to be patient with me just for a minute here, because I need to read this to you. I would tell it to you out loud, outside, but it's not fair. So I cannot hold back from you. Okay. I guess I'm going to have to. This is great. I'll just do this one instead. How do you like that? Okay? I found something else. How do you like it that in place? Okay, here. Okay, so here we go. When one of his disciples was suffering greatly from personal troubles, the Baal Shem Tov said to him, when you experience afflictions, you should recognize God behind the mask. It's like a father who's playing with his little son by putting on a frightening mask to see if he'll recognize him. The boy is scared, but when he realizes that it's his father, what does he do? He calls out, Dad. Oh, that's you! Right? It's a real recognition. Okay? Then, of course, what's going to happen? The father, seeing that his son is frightened, he takes off the mask and embraces him to remove his distress and comfort him. So when you're suffering, understand that there's nothing but God, blessed be He. And it's your own Father in heaven who has put on this frightening mask to see if you'll recognize Him. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, of course.
This is what Purim is about. Okay? If you call out, Abba, Abba, can you say Abba? Do you know what the word Abba means? Everybody know what the word Abba means? Dad, right? Or father, I don't know. Your suffering and distress will be removed if you really are able to pull off the mask, if you're really able to make the recognition. But if a person doesn't realize that everything that happens is from God, blessed be He, and when afflictions come, seeks only worldly means and remedies to escape them, then his troubles and distress will remain. I tell you, when you realize that God is everywhere and there's nothing separating you from Him, blessed be He, all your fears and troubles will disappear. Okay? So obviously, this is the whole entire Purim in a nutshell. That God is really the mask, and that's why we wear masks on Purim. Did you ever think about why we wear masks?
No.
Why do we dress up on Purim, right, and wear masks? Because everything is about the mask. Okay? Our world and every single thing that we've gone through and go through is about one thing and one thing only, and that's the mask. Okay? So going back to the original thing, I wanted to make a Seder on Purim, even though it's against probably most ideology because you're supposed to be out of the box. However, most people don't, I feel that they don't really, they don't grasp the real greatness of this day to the extent that they should. I spoke a little bit about, and there's the Ari, the famous 16th century Kabbalist, who compares the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, that Yom Kippur, a chaf in front of the word pur, a chaf in front of a word is a prefix, which means like. The Yom Kippur is a day like Purim. Yom Kippurim is a day like Purim. It's only like Purim. So obviously here, the Arizal says there's this unbelievable connection to Purim and Yom Kippur. Right? Now, what do you say about that? Okay, you got a question. Go for it.
I just forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, poor. The word poor is lot.
Yes, it is.
And as you say, on Yom Kippur, Hashem decides who will be inscribed in the...
And no, it's not. But here, Yom Kippur, there's another lot. What's the other lot that we do? There's another lot that we do On Yom Kippur, we do 2 goats. Remember, there's 2 goats, exactly the same, and there's an urn, and then the high priest puts his hands in the urn, and he pulls out the 2 tablets. This one, the 2 tablets, one tablet says, this one goes to Hashem, and the other tablet says, this goes to Azazel. Everybody knows Azazel.
No.
Azazel, the phrase here that they have in modern Hebrew, when they say Lech Azazel, that means go to hell. Azazel is like hell. Okay, go to hell. Lech Azazel, if they tell somebody to go to Azazel, they're telling them to go to hell.
Every time I hear it read it now in the Tanakh, I hear it.
Funny, right? But anyways, it's called the Azazel, which was what happens is they take that goat out, they walk with it in a far walk, right? And they get to a certain point where there's a ridge, and then they shove it off the ridge and it falls down. It's like the portion of the Satan. It's the Satan's portion that you give to him.
But he takes your sins away.
That's it. It goes away. He goes after the goat. I'm going to bring you something funny here. And it's off topic, but it's worth mentioning because I think you'll enjoy it. Okay? If a person is ever in a situation where he's scared, he doesn't know why. He doesn't see anything around, but all of a sudden he becomes anxious over something. The Talmud says, say the Shema, because you don't see anything damaging you, but your mazel, your soul, your higher level sees that there's some force that's coming against you. So you say, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and you commit to God. You make your commitment, you affirm your connection to God. So you can say the Shema. Always say the Shema. My wife, when she's turning on West Belford, she says the Shema. Before diving in a swimming pool, Shema Yisrael. Right? She's all the time, right? So, but the Gemara goes on, but what happens if you're in an unclean place, like a bathroom? So it says, jump 4 feet out and say the Shema. Jump from your place and say the Shema. And what happens if you can't? You're in the stall of the toilet. Do you know what you say? The goat in the slaughterhouse is fatter than I. The goat in the slaughterhouse is fat, and all of us, if you're on the toilet and you're overcome with some kind of anxiety sensation, you don't know why, you utter with your mouth, the goat in the slaughterhouse is fatter than I. Now, what does that mean, and what's that for? Isn't that cool? It's cool. Come on. Don't think that God doesn't have a sense of humor, but it is kind of serious. Because you're hit with anxiety, is because you're basically whatever force of destruction that is coming your way. If you say the goat in the slaughterhouse is fatter than I, go after so and so. He's a better catch than me. So with that force, we'll go after so and so. He's a better catch. Okay? You got to have something else for him to go for. Okay? So to get back here, a Yom Kippurim, okay? Why? So one thing was the lots. One goes for Sutton, but that's a connection. But there's a deeper connection to Yom Kippur to Yom Purim. These 2 days have a connection, and usually we'll always associate Yom Kippur as the holiest day of the year, and Yom Kippur is only like Purim. It's just like it. So that means Purim is really the holier of the days. Okay? So what is it about Purim that makes it the holiest day of the year? I didn't do enough justice when I spoke last Wednesday night at Partners. Okay? So if you would interview God, let's say you'd have an interview, and you talk to God, and you ask God, hey, if you go and you're spanning all of creation, right? Tell me when was the best? When was there a good day? First of all, really, if you look at it, there's never really been a good day. Think about it. Really. Day 1, Adam, Garden of Eden. What happened? It wasn't such a good day. Okay, of course, in the utter big scheme of things, it was a good day, because God runs the world. Okay? But you talk about a real good day, he sinned. Adam and Eve sinned in the Garden of Eden. Wasn't such a good day. Got kicked out. Right? And then if you go later on, okay, when they left Egypt, that was good, right? But they're complaining still. right? About not enough graves in Egypt. You got to bring us to the desert to die, right? The Jewish sarcasm. Don't think we invented it in this generation, okay? Not enough graves in Egypt, okay?
Maybe it was the highest.
No, go to Matan Torah. Now, Matan Torah was a great day. It was the wedding day. But, we had to say Hashem held the mountain over their heads. Now, why did Hashem hold the mountain over their heads? Right? It's because what? The one version is, why did Hashem take the entire mountain, hold them over their heads, and say, if you don't take it, I'm going to bury you. Okay? Because they accepted the Torah, but they said, Nasev and Ishma, we'll do and we'll hear. So what's that about? We'll do and we will hear. They accepted the Torah, so what's the mountain business? So they accepted the written law with love. Yes, we'll take the written law, the 5 books of Moses. But the oral law, not too crazy about the oral law. So Hashem took the mountain and held it. So really they had to accept it duress. It was under duress. It was an acceptance from fear, not love. And even if you fast forward a little bit more, the Egel Azav surely was a terrible day. But let's say even you go through, fast forward into when they built the Mishkan in the desert, which is next week's Parsha. This week's Parsha was basically the inauguration offerings. There's inauguration offerings because they're setting it up. Moshe set up the Mishkan for 7 days in a row, took it down, built it 7 days. He built and took it down, offered sacrifices, built it, offered sacrifices, took it down 7 days. Next week is Shmini, it's the 8th day. And the 8th day was where we cranked up the machine, the Mishkan, what we built. And the fire came down from heaven and the glory of God appeared. The offering was accepted before God. That means the Shekhinah. We are in with the divine presence. And what happened on that day? It's an unbelievable day. Nadav and Avihu bringing a fire from outside for whatever, on the different commentaries what they did, but they brought a fire from outside and they died. 2 of the holiest peoples. Your star players in the team died. You got a guy running for the layup in the basketball and all of a sudden he dies. And the other guy died. Two of your star players die. Not a good day. King Solomon builds the temple in Jerusalem. Unbelievable. They bring the Ark of the Covenant inside. They had a little trouble getting the doors open, but they finally got the doors open and they got it inside. And it's an unbelievable day. There's the temple building. Not a good day. You know why not a good day? Because that night King Solomon married the daughter of Egypt, the prince of Egypt, the daughter of the king of Egypt. Right? Bas Paro, daughter of Paro. He married it's right, a shiksa. Well, she converted. Okay? Whatever it was like a great day, and it ends off in a wedding from him marrying somebody from another nation. Okay? Whatever. That day, the Midrash says, that night, that day, Hashem took a rod and he put it in the ocean. And from that rod, moss and rocks gathered, and it eventually became a spot of land that eventually became Rome. In other words, from the very beginning of the first temple, the night that the first temple was inaugurated, was already the sentencing or the setting up of its destruction of the second temple, right? 1,000 years later. About 1,000. Okay? Under. Has there ever been a good day? Purim, though. Purim was probably the best day of all days. Yom Kippur was a good day. Yom Kippur was a good day. Moshe comes down with the second tablets. We're back in our relationship with God. Purim was another time where they kimu v'kiblu, they accepted the Torah with love. It says kimu v'kiblu, they accepted the Torah with love on that day. Which means we reached such a state of consciousness where we received the oral law with love. Now, if I ask you, why is that? Okay, what's the thing about that? If you think, Hashem, what kind of is the best day that Hashem would have in mind? Of course, Hashem had in mind to give the Torah. he actually made a stipulation with creation. That the creation, it was one of the reasons why the mountain was held over their heads. The mountain was held over their heads, also signifying, listen, I made a whole condition on all of creation that if the children of Israel would not accept the Torah, all of creation is worthless and everything's going to go back to nothingness. Everything goes back. Everything goes to zero again, to Ein Sof, to infinity, if they don't accept the Torah. So I have a gift. I want to give. I want to give this gift. And when I have in mind, and we all know this, we all relate to this. When we have in mind you want to give a gift, right? You want to give a gift. You want it to be received with happiness and joy, don't you? You don't want like what happens these days, like I brought down last Wednesday night. You brought your daughter or your son a gift, and they opened it up, and it's an iPhone, and they look at it and they go, oh, it's an iPhone 7. I wanted an iPhone 10. You got the wrong model. Right? Or even you got an iPhone 10, but it was an iPhone 10s I wanted.
Never satisfied.
Okay? So you want to give a gift, you want to give it. And you want it to be received. And when it's received with happiness and joy, so you get joy when it's received with happiness and joy. There's no greater connection than that. So when God gave the Torah at Mount Sinai, it wasn't fully received with love, was it? No. But on Purim, we finally reached a level where we saw God, we saw the mask, right? We saw what's behind the mask. We saw God was there the whole time. He's with us the whole time. And therefore we felt so elated and so elevated that we received the Torah with love. That's the day that God had in mind when he made creation. In other words, the fulfillment of when God's first idea to make a creation, what he had in his mind was give a gift, and the gift is received with love. That's the day I had in mind. Mount Sinai was good, but that was only step 1. Step 2 was Purim. When they received the gift with love and appreciation, so then that's the day. That's why Yom Kippur is only like Purim. Purim is the real day. So what is it about this real day that we have to do? Okay? So I've just now opened a door. Because that's what it is. The day of Purim is a window. Okay? Yom Kippur, what do? We have to fast. Right? No leather shoes, etc., etc. We do all these afflictions because we have to strip the body in order to make that connection above. But on Purim, we do the opposite. We go into the depths of physicality. And we eat, right? We drink, right? And the only way to get to really the place where we need to get to is by being out of our minds. Okay? You have to go out of your mind. Okay? And the idea really here is you have to, it's ad shelo yada, until that you don't know.
The difference between Haman and Mordechai.
Right. So in other words, but really when we think about what is the difference between Haman and Mordechai, we have to look at our own lives and the dark spots in our own lives to see that God was just a mask. He was there the whole time. And every single thing that's going through our lives, every single thing, God is behind. He's the mask. He's there the whole time. Okay? Yeah.
Do people still have Sudat Purim? I never hear of it.
Of course. You must have a Sudas Purim. The mitzvah, one of the
You
mitzvahs.
have it here?
I don't know about in this building, but every synagogue has a
They
Suda.
do? I never hear of it.
You better trade up, synagogues, girl. Time to look around, shop. Okay? There's plenty, every synagogue, Beit Rambam, Young Israel, who
They
doesn't
do it on
have?
the first-
Torah V'Chesed,
But they do it when?
Meyerland. Go to Meyerland. They have a great Purim Suda there.
When are they having it?
Perfect for you. Call them up and ask, I don't know. Okay?
Now that's why
Thursday?
also, Rabbi, they said also when Mashiach comes, that Purim will be celebrated. They say celebrated.
We have that in these sheets here. Hopefully we'll get
Purim will
to.
be celebrated.
Thank you. Yes, it will be.
Now I know
Okay.
why.
The one on Chimney Rock? Yes.
All right, so I got to bring you this parable first because it is in line. I couldn't find it in here. It would take me too much time to find it. Okay? The parable is this. This king, right? And he built around his palace, he built out of sorcery and magic walls, concentric circles, walls, big walls, right? Right? A series of concentric walls around his palace out of magic, out of sorcery. And in between those walls, he put ferocious animals, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, right? Snakes and all kinds of things. He put fierce warriors on top of all of the walls. And he even put something else. Hidden in each wall, in each place, was a person who was loaded with jewels and gold and treasure. And then, once he built this all up out of sorcery, he called anyone in the nation who wants to come see me can come. And so people are going to come and they want to see the king, because anybody who comes to see me, if you ask, whatever your request is will be granted. And so people, of course, see this and they see the walls and they go, we can do this. And the guys get together and they go and they scale the walls, and there's soldiers to fight on top of the walls. And they're fighting the soldiers, right? And it's a fierce battle, and they get past that wall, and then they have some animals, some ferocious animals to fight in between the walls, and then they have another bigger wall with more soldiers to fight, right? And each time they scale a wall, some guy comes out with money and says, look, man, you've made it this far here. Here's your treasure. So some people, they gave up because the fighting was too fierce, right? Some people gave up because, hey, they got money. I'm rich. Forget it. Go home. But there's one guy who kept fighting. One guy who kept fighting, and that was the son of the king. The son of the king kept making this battle, wall after wall, animal after animal. He's scaling. The guys would come out with a jewel and says, I don't want that. All he wants is a connection with his father. And so he's fighting, and he's raging on these wall after wall, and he's going, and finally the point of fighting is getting so fierce, he just screams, Abba! 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 And he just screams with all his guts, and his father, who's sitting in the palace, he hears the cries of his son. And all of a sudden, in one snap of the fingers, all of the walls, all of the soldiers and the animals disappear. And he finds himself right there in front of the king in his royal palace in the court, in front of his father, in one instant. This is Purim. You have to have a desire to see behind the mask. Even though it's dark, even though we don't see it, we have to be able to pierce behind the mask of matter. Okay? And now you drink a cup of wine, because there's 4 cups. Just like a Passover Seder, you drink. No, there's no such thing. I'm making that up. I'm just saying you came late because I wanted to do a Seder of Purim. Like one Seder is you get into the story. It's a mask, right? The other one, right? The other one is this. And I spoke about Yom Kippur and Yom Purim. Okay? There's an unbelievable Torah about us, really, what this day is about. And after I've read a lot of things, it's really about accessing your soul frequency. What do I mean by that? Everybody has a portion in Torah. We pray for it all the time. I told you it's the day of receiving the gift with joy and love. How do you receive it with joy and love? If you see that, that's you. You get a taste of you. You get a taste of your portion of the Torah. You get a taste of what you're supposed to do here. When you access that, who wouldn't be in joy and love? If you access that clarity, and you can't, the funny thing is you can't access that clarity until you lose all clarity. You have to go out of your mind, okay? That's what I recommend, but some people go too out of their mind, right? And then they're hugging the toilet, right? Can't go use that toilet. Someone's there doing their thing, right? Got to make sure you go to a place, a shul, that has a lot of bathrooms. The women don't usually have this problem. Women usually don't drink, right? Thank God for Uber, right? Uber's great, right? You can get home. You'll get home. You don't have to worry about getting home anymore. But that's why I was saying, like, just like on Passover, you have 4 cups. Just like on, even on Tu B'Shvat, you haven't seen a Tu B'Shvat Seder, but Tu B'Shvat also has 4 cups of wine. But nobody says 4 cups on Purim until me, okay? There should be. And you're not supposed to pour for yourself. The Lubavitchers have this custom. Lubavitchers have the minhag. You never pour anywhere, anytime there's a farbringen, anywhere.
Really?
Somebody should pour for you.
Why is that?
Because something, everybody needs a chavrusa. Everybody needs a study. You need to be monitored. Because people can go over the edge. Right? Of course they have kunsim. Well, that wasn't a real pour. That was a half a pour. And that wasn't a real full glass. That was just a half a glass. So it's a really repouring of the original pour, of the double pour, of the half pour that was before. Right? Whatever. But if somebody else pours for you, so then you have this much. Really, bottom line, if you're not used to drinking on Purim, it's understood. Then how do you get to that place of ad lo yada, until you don't know? Okay? You have to get to until you don't know. You have to reach a certain state of consciousness where you hook up with your portion of Torah, your letter. Every Jew is a letter in the Torah, right? There were 600,000 souls at Sinai. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Each Jew is a letter. If there's one letter missing, it's not a kosher Sefer Torah. It's not a kosher Torah scroll. If one letter is missing, you have to be that letter. You have to access your letter. Okay? So the idea really is to access your letter in the Torah.
So if we don't drink, we're not...
So go back. Let's say if you're not used to it and you can't handle it and it's not for you. And a lot of people, it's not like that. Okay? But they say really what you should do on Purim, which we're going to get into some segulot, is drink more than you usually do. I never drink. So then you drink this much and take a nap.
Oh, take a nap.
And when you're sleeping, then you reach that state while you're sleeping. That's what the Ramah says, Rabbi Moshe Isserles. Okay? In other words, if you're not used to getting like a little tipsy, drinking more than usual, right? See, the thing is really people should be around. That's the thing is sometimes they lose it. But Purim should be really, around a table where you're more or less intimate with, right? Because what happens is it's called yichnas yayin yotzei sod. When wine comes in, secrets come out. Okay? But here the secrets are really, what are you, and there has to be a focus. It has to be focused conversation. So that's why if you're around scholars or people who are involved in Torah, so then you have some good Torah to talk about, inspiring thoughts and ideas, which are great. Because you have to be around inspirational talks. Because if it's just, okay, I eat my food and there's just singing for 10 hours, which singing is good, but there has to be thoughts involved in it. Or no, you're trying to get to know thought. Okay? So then you take another glass. Okay? After you talk about your chelik in Torah, your special soul frequency vibration, which is really the idea of this. That's why Purim is so great. They say that we're taught the entire Torah while we're in the stomach of our mothers. Right? And then when we're born, the angel hits us. I don't think it's this. There's no real proof. There's no real source of this. Okay? Now, just says hits on the face. They say it's this. But there's no real source. I know a rabbi in Jerusalem who will pay $5,000 for someone who can show him the source of this. And this guy knows everything backwards and forwards. I thought I found it, and they go, no, that's not it. It just says slap on the face. Anyways, when we're taught the entire Torah while we're in the stomach of our mothers, and then when we're born, this angel slaps us on the face. So they ask a question, so why? What's the use of that? Why are you being taught the entire Torah, plus a tour of Gan Eden and Gehenna? And after that, to lose it all with a slap on the face, to forget it? So what's the idea? Do you know the answer?
No.
The answer is when he's teaching you the Torah. So he's like basically taking a hammer and chisel and engraving it in the stone. It's engraved. It's in there. And then when you're born and he slaps you, you forget the Torah, is he covers it with dust. Purim is the day where we uncover the dust. It's potential for us to uncover the dust and to read the message that is inscribed within us the whole time.
Uncover the what?
The dust. When we're born and he slaps us, that's like he covered the message, what he engraved, he covered it over with a layer of dust so you can't see the message. Dust. Sorry, I said dust. Did I say dust? Sorry, dot. Okay, dust, dot. Okay, fine. Okay. So the idea really here is when we uncover the dust, we're going to see that letter. Now, I was meant to bring a book. I forgot it. There's a great book written by Rabbi Ginsburg that he goes through every single one of the Aleph Beit. I don't think we have it here. No, I don't see it. I should have brought it. I'll you know.
Which book is it?
It's called The Letters by Rabbi Ginsburg, Yitzchak Ginsburg. He goes through each and every letter. It's like this thick. Holy letters or something like that. I just look at the first page because he describes like what each letter and what it means. So you should look at that. So then, first of all, after you did that, you drink another cup. Okay. And then you go ahead and you're going to explore the first letter of your first name. And you read it out loud and share it with people around the table. That would be my idea. This was my idea of what a Seder would be. Okay? First Seder would be, the first cup would be, you get the parable of the magic castle. Right? Just to know that here, and you got to go, Abba! You got to scream Abba. That's after you drink a little cup. Okay. Right, then the second cup would be what? You understand about the tablets, about the angel who taught us the entire Torah. Today is the day where we receive the Torah with love and joy. And then maybe you'll dance. Dancing is good. If there's a dance for women, I don't know where shuls do that or wherever, find one. Very important to dance on Purim. I'll explain why. According to Rabbi Nachman, it's the deepest thing ever. It's so deep. I don't even know if I have time to explain it to you now. Okay? So then you understand that then you'll drink another cup. What number am I on so far? Don't ask. Don't tell me. Don't. I think that's 2. Okay? And then you'll look at your letter and you'll see what's the significance of the letter of your first name. And you might want to go through all the letters of your name because then you'll discover more about who you are, okay? And your special abilities. And you might want to ask a question, what are my special abilities? What are my special talents that God gave me? What's my special, unique soul frequency? What's my Torah? Because it's the day of accessing the Torah, okay? Okay? And the fourth cup, which is the amazing thing, is you have to put yourself in the space as if all the walls, all of the barriers of the castle are gone. And you are now with the king. Okay? In other words, you have to almost meditate after the fourth cup. Take a deep breath. You have to meditate and put yourself in the presence of God because it's all about you being in the presence of God and there's no more barriers. And you're already in a sincere relationship with God. On Purim, we're striving to reach it. We divest ourselves of the physicality to reach us being in the presence of God. Here, we're going into the physicality to realize within the physicality, in the mask itself, is the very presence of God. That's why in Purim, in the Megillah, there's no name of God. The name of God is not in the whole Purim. He is. It is a one big name of God, the entire Megillah. So he's there the whole time. And when you get there the whole time, and when you can't do this, this is called destroying Amalek. This is called Mechias Amalek, destroying Amalek, when you get to the place of no doubt. When you get to the place of no doubt. Because once again we say Amalek, you know the wicked nation of Amalek, they spell same numerical value as the word Safek, which means doubt. Doubt. Here, you like gematrias, right? There you go, Amalek. Do you want me to write it out for you on the board? Let's do that. I won't. Why should I? Yeah, Safek in Hebrew is this.
Right.
This is 60. Right? This is 80, and this is 100. Right? So what do we have? 100, 240. And then you have Amalek. Okay? 70, 40, 30, and 100. And what's that? 240, right? 240, 240. Okay? Because every single thing about destroying Amalek is about removing doubt in your heart. That I have no doubt that God is with me. The whole reason Amalek came in the first place was what? What did we say?
Bring doubt to take the.
We asked the question, is Hashem with us or not? Sorry to be like more Texas. What? Is Hashem with us? I don't know how. Maybe that was more California. Sorry. Is Hashem with us or not, dude? Okay, is that better? Okay. So is Hashem with us or not? They asked a question. As soon as they asked that question, Amalek comes. It was a manifestation of their own inner doubts about their relationship. Don't test the relationship. God is with us. And we have to get there, though. You have to be there so solid. That's why you need wine. You can't do it with your normal dot. You can't do it with your normal mindset. Your normal mindset will be an obstruction, will be a barrier. It's one of those walls between you and the king. You got to melt the walls. You got to remove all the barriers. And just you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're one with the Ein Sof. You're one with the unlimited isness. Is there any place, and this is what you have to ask at the end, is there any place where the oneness of God ends and I begin? When you get to you can only do that at the fourth cup. You can do it now. It's good. It's good. If you could just ask the question, is there any place where the completeness of God ends and I begin? Think about it. Is there any place where the wholeness of and the joy of God ends and I begin? Is there or not? Of course, you should say it's ludicrous to think that because we say God is all there is. Ein od milvado. There's nothing else other than God. Every single thing that we work to, every single prayer, tefillah, mitzvah, right? All the Torah we learn is only supposed to get to this one concept, to be embedded so deeply in our heart that God is all there is. There's nothing else other than God. There's no place where the magnificence, the awe of God ends and I begin. There's no more barriers anymore. And you are I'm already in a perfect, sincere relationship with God. Now, how's that? I see, you sensed a little smidge of it, right? So imagine then on Purim, you have to make it go bigger and bigger, and you got to turn the volume of the joy up, okay? Right? So really, it's a glimpse into who we are. I call it the red pill. It's a big red pill, okay?
It's referencing a movie.
Sorry, it's a reference to a movie called the Matrix.
The blue
Oh, yeah.
pill and the red pill.
Oh, okay.
Right? Okay. So I'm just going to bring with you something about the dancing and clapping that Rabbi Nachman brings. That Rabbi Nachman brings that it's going to be far out what I'm going to say to you. But I'm going to help you with an introduction, okay? Because I'm trying to zest through like paragraphs of very deep stuff from Rabbi Nachman. It's like hard because he's like super genius, and we can barely understand it when we see it in writing. But I'm going to try to give it to you on a regular achas. But the way I understood it is this: when Rav Kook, right, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, talks about prayer. He mentions that we all know we have our soul, our nefesh, our ruach is in our body, right? And you have a little part of your neshama, maybe. Okay, it's an argument. But really, our neshama, we exist on other dimensions, on other planes. You have a part of you which exists outside of yourself, okay? Interesting why I'm thinking now, Yom Kippur, interesting. Yom Kippur, we have to take our shoes off, right? Why do we take our shoes off on Yom Kippur? Right? Leather shoes, we can't wear leather. So there's a lot of different explanations. One explanation, the explanation that I say by Yom Kippur is because the shoe is encasing the lowest part of our body, right? And so the idea here is we take off the shoes, in the same way we remove, I say it like this, just like the shoe encases the lowest part of our body, so our bodies encase the lower part of our souls. In other words, our bodies are like a shoe. It's like a shoe. You know, when Hashem told Moses at the burning bush, you got to take off your shoes, it was like you got to go out of the body. Leave your body and come here. Okay? It was like you have to take off the lower encasement. Right? So in other words, we exist on a higher plane, on a higher level. Our bodies encasing only the lowest part of our souls, but our souls exist on other dimensions.
Parts of our soul?
Our soul. We exist on our level. Other layers of our soul exist in other dimensions. That's right. There's a you on a higher. The idea is, though, our neshama is always in a state of perpetual prayer. It is always praying. While you could be doing whatever, you could be playing miniature golf, and you could be bowling, or you could be who knows what, doing what, right? But meanwhile, yourself, your soul, a higher part of yourself is always praying. So when you will walk to shul and go to pray, you'll open the prayer book, you'll take 3 steps forward and you pray. You are hooking into this, what your soul is already involved in. You're hooking into that perpetual prayer that your soul is always. So that's why you're hooking up.
That soul state, right?
Your soul state that your soul is already in praying. Okay?
So what is a part of us is with Hashem or no?
Yeah, always connected. Because when you're talking about tefillah is that connection. It's a high level. It's the highest connection. Okay? So when you talk about the highest level connection, right? It's always there. So when we pray, we're really stepping into, hooking up into that high level connection that's always existing. It's already there. Okay? So the idea here is that Rabbi Nachman brings down that it's bizarre. The Torah is very much, I'm going to bring a phrase from Tikkunei Zohar. The Tikkunei Zohar mentions that the Rucha blows in 6 limbs. That's it. The Spirit blows. This is a phrase. It's just a weird phrase, but it always brings down a weird phrase, right? The Spirit blows in 6 limbs. In the 6 limbs of the arms and the 6 limbs of the legs. The Spirit blows in the 6 limbs of the arms and the 6 parts of the legs. Now, our legs and our arms have 6 each, right? 3 here. You have this part, and this. You have this, and this, right? And the heart, right, of course, represents our heart. And that bleeds into many areas of existence, okay? One area that this concept of the heart, what did I just say? The heart breathes. Or the heart, what was it called? The heart, forgot the phrase. 1 second. Like that music, don't you?
That's the English, no?
V'hai rucha nashiv, yes. Here, this is the language. V'hai rucha nashiv b'shis pirkin de deroa u'b'shis pirkin de shokim. This spirit breathes into the 6 limbs of the arms and the 6 limbs of the thighs. Okay? It's going to be kind of bizarre what I'm going to say to you. Okay? But just understand that what it is when you dance and clap on Purim specifically, anytime really, Rabbi Nachman says dancing and clapping sweetens judgments. Sweetens judgments. Why? Because dancing and clapping is one of these hooking into a neshama part of ourselves. Okay? When we hook into the neshama part of ourselves, what happens is all idolatry is removed from the world. Because why? We go into a state of no doubt. How do we hook? Because we're hooking into that soul. When we hook into that soul, we're hooking into the state of no doubt. Okay? And he says the Torah is very much like that. He also equates the Torah. The Torah is Lev. Lev, the first letter of the Torah is a Beit, and the last letter is a Lamed. Lev. And the Torah also has the 6 parts to it. It has what's called a revealed part, and the Torah has a concealed part. The revealed part of the Torah is our hands. Our legs, usually for most people, are always covered unless you're walking on West Belford. Okay? On the summer. Okay? Or on, Santa Monica Beach. Okay? But most of the time, the thighs are covered. So the hands represent the revealed part of the Torah. And the legs represent the hidden parts of the Torah. Right. Mordechai represents the revealed parts of the Torah. And Esther, who's hidden, her name means hidden, represents the concealed parts of the Torah. Right? Now, in the Torah, we say it's all in general, the Torah is heart. Okay? And it has revealed and hidden. Okay? So when we dance on Purim, so I'm stringing things together, and it's hard. I'm going to end it off with this, okay? Because it's a lot that we said today, okay? But the idea really is, and we don't have to understand completely how, but it's from my understanding of Rabbi Nachman, okay, that dancing in Torah it removes idolatry. Okay, it removes pride from a person. Simply, it removes pride from a person. Even just externally, you can understand how dancing and clapping would remove pride from a person, because people are going to look at you, and you have to overcome that aspect of being self-conscious, right? You have to, I don't care what he says. Even, right? How dare, right? Or no, I shouldn't clap. If I clap, people are going to look at me funny, right? But no, I don't care. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be joyous. I'm going to dance. I'm going to clap. Okay? So when you do that, you remove the pride within us. The sense of self-conscious, the pride, the ego. When ego is idolatry. When you remove the idolatry from the world, only kindness comes down. You remove the charon af, as Rabbi Nachman says, the anger from the world. Because wherever there's idolatry, there's anger. There's divine anger. Wherever there's no idolatry, so there's blessing. So when we clap and we stomp our feet, we remove all idolatry, haman, doubt from the world, right? And we are able to connect to our portion in the Torah, just like the Torah has this revealed and hidden, right? And when we dance and clap, we're hooking into a part of our neshama, which is really hooking into our part of the Torah. Everybody has a unique soul frequency that they must transmit. Purim is the day, I know you're going to probably... Come on, man. Right? 4 cups. They don't have to be such big. Take a nap. If you don't drink, take a nap. Okay? And when you're in a nap, you have to go out of your mind. You have to get adalo yada. Sorry, we didn't even get to go into these sheets, but they're really dynamic, these sheets. Okay?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah. But you can save these and read these later. What?
Does the name Esther have anything to do with lehastir?
Betach. It's all about the hidden. It's making the Megillat Esther is Megillah is legaleh. Megillat Esther means revealing the hidden. Everything's about the mask. Everything's about removing the barrier. Everything's about there's no more barriers between me and God anymore. Is there any place where the completeness of God ends and I begin? Okay? And you got to sit with that and live with it, and you have to practice it. You have to practice thinking that. Is there any place where the unlimitedness of God ends and I begin? Okay? So I wrote down another thought that you can think, because my Thursday class is really great because it's about the thoughts that we think create our reality. Okay?
When is that? Thursday.
On Thursday afternoons at 12:30. Okay? I didn't write it down, but I'll...
Is it here?
Yes, it's here. The idea really here is I am fine. You have to say this to yourself, okay? If you need to, I don't know if you can write, you better write quick. Better record it in your cell phone. I have finally reached where I am a complete reflection of God's infinite expression. I have finally reached where I am a complete expression of God's infinite light. We are all here to do that. God has infinite expressions. We're all part of that. You, me, everybody is part of an infinite expression. And we all have to reflect the infinite light. What gets in the way? Ego. Ego always gets in the way. So here's the place. Dancing, clapping removes ego. Because it's a connection.
So I finally reach.
I forgot.
Where I have finally realized where I'm a complete reflection of God's infinite light.
There you go. I have finally reached where I am a complete reflection of God's infinite light. And you got to sit with that. Because that's what happens in Purim. We realize we're already there. Okay? Just like Dorothy, she got the magic slippers. She clicks her heels 3 times. No, we had to schlep her for 2 hours with a scarecrow and a lion, right? But meanwhile, she had the remedy within her the whole time. The Torah is within us the whole time. Our portion of Torah is within us the whole time. It's always been there. You just got to remove the dust. And when we remove the dust, we remove all doubt. And I'm finally at the complete reflection of God's infinite light. We're all supposed to reflect God's infinite light in infinite ways through our lives and living our lives and our special soul frequency. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay.
Rabbi, question, you said about the shoes.